Hey guys, it's Amanda here with Crafters Autonomous. So there's an idea that I've been seeing going around online a lot, so I figured that I would put it to the test, and it is crochet water balloons. Now if you haven't heard of this, you might be going, what in the world, how does this work? And that's exactly what my first thoughts were too. So we're going to test these out today. I went ahead and played around and made up some of my own patterns. That's what these two here are made out of. And then I also looked at a pattern by Left in Knots, and I followed her pattern to make this bigger one. Just kind of played around. Also, the yarn that I'm using, I couldn't find the Bernat blanket yarn, which is what these gray ones here are, which this was the only color my Walmart had, so this is why they aren't fun, bright colored water balloons. But that's okay. But this is Bernat blanket yarn. And then this is just a yarn from Hobby Lobby, another polyester yarn, very similar. So we're going to try these out and see which patterns work best and which sizes work best, which yarns work best. But I've also got some help here today. I'm going to have these water balloons be kit tested, so I've got some helpers.
I'm crafting panda. I'm painting horse. I'm gaming gunner. Hot gunny. I'm Lulabelle.
Okay, you guys ready to go play with these water balloons and try them out? Yeah, let's do it. Woo! That helps them hold a little more water. They definitely soak up a lot of water, but hey, this is a lot easier than sitting back down to fill up more water balloons, right? So another thing I'll mention is that with these water balloons, I have used them a little bit before kid testing them, and once I was done using them, I just left them outside in the sun to dry, and I was really happy with how they turned out. They dried really well, and of course the yarn can be washed, but I left them out to dry, and there were no problems. They seemed pretty clean, just hosed them off when I was done to get the grass out. Another thing I'll mention is I did use them in my pool, so they did have a slight chlorine smell, but nothing super strong, nothing smelly or sour like wet clothes can get. So I was very happy with that. They dry out really easily just by sitting in the sun. So we've been having fun playing with the water balloons so far. Now we're going to do the splat test. We're going to see just how much water these things can hold. I have 4 different kinds here. The green is a different yarn than this gray yarn. I think the green doesn't hold as much water as the gray yarn does, and as I said, the green yarn is an off-brand, but the gray yarn is the actual Bernat blanket brand. So I think that one's working a lot better to hold more water. And then I also have 2 different sizes. This is my smaller pattern, and then this is the bigger pattern by Left in Knots. So we're going to do some tests on the fence here and see how big of a splat they give. Okay, wait.
I have a small one.
Okay, so
I have a small one. I have a huge.
whoa!
I have a water balloon in there right now. I got one. Oh!
So you can see they're making pretty good sized splats. And you can definitely feel the water when they hit you, right? Alright, so here we are. We're going to do the hit test. I am going to let them throw the water balloons as hard as they possibly can, and we're going to test and see how bad they hurt. But I am going to turn around for this because I don't want one hitting on my face. And as with water balloons, I would just from the beginning recommend aim for shoulders and lower. Don't aim for the face. Alright guys, let's go. Let's see how these feel. For the most part, they really weren't bad. They've all been talking about how soft they feel. There were a couple that were a little bit hard, and I did kind of feel it. It feels kind of like, you know, getting hit with a wet rag. But most of the throws were just like, you know, they were gentle and soft, like getting hit with a sponge. Definitely not near as bad as water balloons. But if you throw it too hard, it can hurt a little bit. So I think the rule should also be don't throw super hard. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That didn't hurt.
So here I am with Crafting Panda, and we're going to interview her and see what her thoughts are on the water balloons. So my first question is, were they fun?
Yes.
Okay, next question is, did they hurt?
The bigger ones hurt a little bit if they were filled with tons of water, but
Okay.
not too bad.
And what are your thoughts on how these ones are compared to like regular water balloons? What do you think of the good things? What do you think of the bad things?
The regular water balloons, they like get you more wet, but you do have to fill them up and you have to buy tons of them. But the crocheted ones, you only have to have like a few, and they're easy to refill, and they don't get you as wet, but they're still really fun.
So now I'm here with Painting Horse. So my first question is, did you think they were fun?
Yes.
Okay. My next question is, did they hurt at all?
They hurt a little bit if like you throw them harder.
Okay. Do you think certain ones hurt more than others, or just if they were thrown hard?
Yeah, I think the bigger ones hurt more than others.
Okay. And then my last question is, what are your thoughts like how these compare to regular water balloons? What do you like about one versus the other?
I like the crocheted ones because they're softer and they don't hurt as bad.
Were you disappointed at all with how much water these ones make a splash than a regular water balloon, or were you think that they were about the same?
I think they're a little about the same, but I think the crochet ones are like have a little less water.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. So, Lulabelle, what did you think of the water balloons? Were they fun? Did you think they hurt at all? No. What did you think about them? Can you tell me about them? You like throwing them at the fence? Yeah, that was a lot of fun too. I know that was fun, wasn't it? All right, well, very good. So here I am with a very soaking wet gaming gunner. So I've got some questions for you. The first one was, did you think the crochet water balloons were fun?
Yeah.
What made them fun?
They didn't hurt, but at the same time, they splashed kind of the same as water balloons, but a little like they weren't as splashy as water balloons, and they didn't hurt.
Well, you just answered my next question because I was going to ask you if they hurt, but you say they don't hurt? Okay. And then my last question is, well, how do you think these compare to regular water balloons? Which do you like better and why?
I like the crocheted ones.
Okay, and how come?
Because they don't hurt, but they still splash. And they don't get you soaking wet, but they don't get you not wet.
So it's a good balance, you're saying? Very cool. Any other thoughts you want to add? All right, well, thank you very much, Gaming Gunner. So now we have our last interview with Hot Gunners. So my first question is, did you think the crochet water balloons were fun?
Yes.
What made them fun?
The funnest part was doing at the fence.
Oh, you like that part too? That one was fun.
Yeah, me trying to hit the star on the shirt.
So did you think these water balloons hurt at all?
No.
No, not at all, even if they were thrown hard? Okay, and my last question is, do you like these better, or do you like the regular water balloons better?
Well,
What makes regular water balloons good?
well, they can hold more water.
Okay. And then what makes these crocheted water balloons good?
Well, they can stick to the fence.
I know, that was funny when that happened. All right, well, thank you very much for answering my questions. You can go back. Okay, so now you've heard straight from the little kiddo's mouth their thoughts on the water balloons. So it seems the general consensus is they like to play with these. Maybe they're not as dramatic as a regular water balloon where you've got the big splash, but they did seem to have fun with them. They said they liked the amount of water that they did get wet with. And also a big question that I've had with these and with regular water balloons is, do they hurt? But the general consensus seems to be no. I would still recommend you lay some ground rules before playing. Don't hit the head, don't throw crazy hard. I did notice the boys were like, no, it doesn't hurt at all, but the girls were like, yeah, they hurt a little bit if they're thrown harder. So just some different things to keep in mind that the kids said. And then one last thing I'm going to also mention, what I like about these, is I talked to them and only the 2 oldest can completely fill up water balloons all on their own. They can fill it up and tie it all on their own. But if the rest of them wanted to play with it, that means that mom has to get involved and tie a bunch of the little balloons and fill them up. So I talked to their mom and she said that she definitely liked not needing to fill them up for the kids, and then she also said she really liked not having to go out into the yard and clean up all the little bitty pieces. So for my next tutorial Tuesday, I'm going to put out a pattern on how to make these balloons, and I'll walk you through the steps so that way you too can make some fun water balloons. And until next time, happy crafting! Any other thoughts you want to add?
One last thing. What did the jellycopter land?
Where?
On a bouncy castle.
Oh my, you tell some silly jokes. Alright, well thank you very much for answering my questions. You can go back and play now.